There are moments in life when silence feels unbearable, when questions echo inside your heart and no answer seems to come. You've been waiting, hoping, and wondering if God has heard your cry. And today, this message finds you not by chance, but by divine appointment. The title you saw wasn't just a phrase, it was a signal, a reminder that the answer you've been longing for is arriving now. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will not only speak to your spirit, but also renew your faith in ways you didn't expect. And before we move forward, I'd love for you to leave a comment sharing what you've been waiting on God to do in your life. Because today, as you put it into words, you're aligning yourself with the breakthrough He is already releasing. God works in ways that often escape our understanding, but He never leaves His children waiting without purpose. The waiting season you've been in wasn't wasted, it was shaping you, preparing you, and building the strength you would need for the blessing now being released. When heaven is silent, it doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It means the preparation is still in motion. Every prayer, every tear, every whispered plea has been collected by the one who sees all and knows all. And now, like a seed that took its time beneath the soil, your answer is pushing through, ready to bloom. In your life, the timing is not late. The delay was not denial, it was alignment. This is the moment to lift your eyes from disappointment and recognize that what is arriving isn't just any answer, it's the answer, the one that closes cycles, opens doors, and confirms that your waiting was never in vain. You've prayed for clarity, for direction, for confirmation, and God has aligned this very second to tell you, today, that answer finally comes. Don't let doubt steal it. Don't let fear choke it. Receive it with expectation. Because when God delivers, He does so with precision, power, and purpose. And what you thought was lost time becomes the perfect setup for His glory to be revealed in your story. You see, when God speaks, He doesn't just whisper a vague idea, He delivers a word so clear that it cuts through confusion and replaces uncertainty with peace. The very thing you have been yearning for, that long-awaited confirmation, is arriving in this moment. It may not come wrapped in the package you imagined, but it comes in the way you need most. This is why waiting was necessary. God was preparing your heart, stripping away what was temporary, so that when His answer arrived, you would be ready to recognize it and walk in it fully. What you thought was delay was God protecting you from settling for less than what He ordained. Every unanswered prayer in the past was not silence, it was divine preservation, a shield against paths that would have harmed you. And now, because you endured, the answer arrives at the perfect time, in the perfect way, and it carries the unmistakable signature of His love for you. Sometimes, the waiting becomes so heavy that you begin to question whether God even heard you. But let me remind you, the Bible says in Isaiah 65:24, "Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear." That means before the words ever left your lips, God already had the answer set in motion. The challenge was never about Him responding, it was about you being ready to receive. That's why the waiting season was filled with challenges, because growth only happens when resistance is present. Like gold refined in fire, you were purified in the waiting. Now, as the flames die down, what emerges is stronger, more resilient, more prepared to handle the blessing that's being delivered. So today, do not despise the waiting. Instead, honor it, because it shaped you into someone who can now carry the answer with strength and faith. And let me tell you this truth: the enemy tried to use your waiting as a weapon to weaken your faith, to make you give up just before the breakthrough. But he underestimated the God who sustains you. The tears you shed in the quiet were not wasted, they watered the ground for the miracle now sprouting in your life. You may have thought that nothing was changing, but heaven was moving on your behalf all along. The shaking, the delays, the moments of silence, they were all signs that something greater was being orchestrated beyond your sight. And now, heaven has declared, the answer arrives today. This is not just another day, it is a divine appointment, a turning point where what was invisible becomes visible, and what you thought was lost is restored. When God delivers an answer, it doesn't come in fragments, it comes complete, carrying with it everything you need for this new season. The doors that were once locked tight before you are now beginning to shift and creak open. What once seemed impossible, unreachable, or beyond your strength is now within your grasp, because the Lord Himself has stepped into your situation. Think about how many nights you wondered if anything would ever change. Think about the countless times you questioned whether your prayers were even reaching heaven. And now, in this very moment, God is declaring that He has not only heard, but He has acted. The atmosphere around you is shifting, chains are breaking, and what was withheld for a season is being released into your hands. You are standing on the threshold of answered prayer, and this moment marks the beginning of a divine unfolding that no one can stop. But here is the key: when the answer arrives, it requires your faith to embrace it fully. Many miss what God is doing because they expect thunder and lightning, when in reality, He moves in stillness, in quiet confirmations that whisper directly to the soul. Don't look for grand displays, look for the peace that suddenly settles in your heart. That peace is evidence of His hand at work. The answer is not only what you will see externally, but also the transformation taking place within you. Your heart, once restless, will now find rest. Your mind, once clouded by doubt, will find clarity. And your spirit, once weary, will rise again with strength and assurance. God's answer doesn't just solve a problem, it reshapes the entire perspective of your life. This is not a surface change. This is a foundational shift, and you are about to witness it firsthand. And let me assure you of this: the same God who promised to complete the work He began in you is the one orchestrating every detail right now. That means the answer arriving today isn't fragile, it isn't temporary, and it isn't uncertain. It is anchored in eternity. God doesn't send partial blessings, He sends complete provision. When He opens a door, no one can shut it. When He speaks a word, it cannot return void. So lift your head, breathe deeply, and receive this truth. Your waiting season is ending. Your answer has come, and it will carry you into a new chapter filled with favor, restoration, and undeniable proof that God has been with you every step of the way. There's something powerful about realizing that God's timing is not just good, it is perfect. If the answer had come sooner, it might have found you unprepared, unable to steward the blessing in its fullness. If it had come later, you might have given up hope entirely. But God, in His wisdom, chose this exact moment to release what you've been waiting for. That means everything in your journey, even the pain, had a purpose. Every delay was strategic. Every closed door was intentional, and every detour was guiding you closer to this day. What felt like silence was heaven aligning circumstances you couldn't see, and now, suddenly, everything begins to make sense. The confusion is lifting, the waiting is bearing fruit, and the answer is unfolding right in front of you in undeniable ways. This is why you must not underestimate small beginnings. The answer may not explode into your life all at once, but it will begin to reveal itself step by step, like the dawn slowly breaking over the horizon. The light will grow brighter until you are fully surrounded by it. God often works in progression because He wants your faith to grow along the journey. Every step you take, every confirmation you receive will become a building block for greater trust. So do not dismiss the subtle signs. That conversation you didn't expect, that opportunity that seemed small, that peace you feel tonight, all of it is evidence that your answer has arrived. The fulfillment of His promise is here, and it is unfolding piece by piece until it overtakes your life completely. And I must remind you of this truth: the enemy cannot stop what God has decreed. He may try to distract you, discourage you, or blind you to what is happening, but his attempts will fail, because once God speaks, the outcome is sealed. That's why you must guard your heart and your mind in this season. Do not allow fear or doubt to steal what has been released. The answer is not fragile. It is fortified by the authority of heaven. You have waited, you have prayed, you have endured, and now you are about to see why the fight was so fierce. The enemy fought so hard because he knew the magnitude of the blessing coming your way. But today, you stand victorious. The waiting is over, the struggle is ending, and the manifestation of God's answer is breaking through into your reality. The moment you recognize that God's hand has been guiding you all along, something shifts deep inside your spirit. Suddenly, the pain of waiting no longer feels wasted, but necessary. You see, God was not ignoring you, He was shaping you. He was enlarging your capacity to hold the blessing He was preparing. Like a potter working clay, He pressed, molded, and refined you until you could carry what He always intended for you to have. If you had received the answer before the shaping, it would have slipped through your fingers. But now, because you endured, you are ready to hold it, to walk in it, and to testify of it. The answer is no longer a distant dream, it is now becoming your lived reality. Every scar you carry from the waiting will become a testimony of resilience, proof that God's faithfulness never failed, even when you could not see it. This is why your heart must stay open. The answer is not only a blessing for you, but through you, it will bless others. God never works in isolation. His answers ripple outward. The provision that's arriving in your life will not only meet your needs, but will overflow into the lives of those around you. That healing you've been waiting for, it will become a testimony that inspires others to believe for their own. That breakthrough in your finances, it will empower you to bless others who are struggling. That relationship restored, it will shine as evidence that nothing is too broken for God to mend. The answer arriving today is bigger than you. It is part of a divine strategy to reveal His glory in a world that desperately needs hope. You are not just receiving, you are becoming a vessel of the very answer you prayed for. And here is what you must hold on to. God's answer carries peace. The world may still be chaotic, circumstances may not all align instantly, but within you there will be an undeniable peace that nothing can steal. That peace is your confirmation. It is the mark of heaven's authority resting on you. Do not expect perfection around you, expect stability within you. Because when God releases His answer, He anchors your soul. Even if the winds of life continue to blow, today, that peace is descending on you like a blanket. Let it settle your mind, let it calm your spirit, and let it remind you that what God has spoken cannot be reversed. The answer has come, and with it, peace that surpasses all understanding. There's a sacred beauty in God's timing that we often fail to see until the answer finally arrives. Looking back, you will realize that every disappointment, every delay, and every closed door was not punishment, it was protection. God kept certain things away from you because He knew they were never meant to hold the weight of your destiny. He closed relationships, denied opportunities, and redirected your steps, not to leave you empty, but to ensure that when His true answer came, it would be undeniable. This is why what you're stepping into now feels different. It doesn't come with confusion or contradiction, it comes with clarity. It doesn't come with heaviness, it comes with freedom. That's how you know it's from God. When He delivers, there's no chaos, no doubt, no fear. There is certainty, there is peace, and there is the unmistakable signature of His hand upon your life. But here is the challenge: when the answer arrives, you must be willing to step into it boldly. Too often, people receive what they prayed for but shrink back in fear, doubting their worth or their ability to sustain it. Not you. This season is different. God didn't bring you this far to watch you hesitate. He prepared you, shaped you, and refined you so that when the door opened, you would walk through it with confidence. That means it's time to silence the inner voices of doubt, to push away the fear that whispers what if, and to stand tall knowing that the one who gave the answer will also give you the strength to sustain it. Your confidence is not in yourself, it is in the God who never fails. If He called you, He will equip you. If He opened the door, He will keep it open. And now, as you step forward, realize this: the answer is not only about what you receive, but about who you become in the process. You prayed for provision, but God is also giving you wisdom. You prayed for healing, but He is also giving you strength. You prayed for breakthrough, but He is also giving you courage. The answer is layered, filled with more than you asked for, because He is the God who does exceedingly, abundantly above all you could ask or think. Today, as the answer unfolds, you will see that it carries blessings you didn't even have the words to request. That is the extravagance of His love. He doesn't just meet needs, He exceeds them. And this is the day you begin to walk in that overflow. When God answers, it is never a halfway response, it is a complete fulfillment that carries His signature. You may have thought you were praying for something small, a simple solution to relieve your pain, but God has been preparing something far greater. What He is releasing into your life is not just an answer to a prayer, it is a divine strategy to shift your entire future. The breakthrough you are stepping into is bigger than the request you made. It is connected to generations, to purposes you cannot even imagine. That's why the wait felt so long, because the answer required a greater alignment. Heaven wasn't only adjusting your circumstances, it was also positioning people, opening paths, and creating opportunities that would intersect at this very moment. The fullness of time has arrived, and nothing can stop the release of what God ordained. This is why you must recognize the significance of what is happening in your life right now. Many will see it as coincidence, but you know better it is providence. The very things you thought were random delays were actually the threads of a divine pattern, being woven together. Every no you received in the past now makes sense, because they were protecting you from stepping out of season. Every frustration now has meaning, because they were shaping your resilience and dependence on God. And now, with this answer unfolding, you will look back and see that nothing was wasted. The waiting produced wisdom, the trials produced perseverance, and the silence produced a deeper intimacy with God. This answer is not simply a conclusion, it is a new beginning birthed out of everything you endured. And here is where your faith takes its greatest leap. You must not only receive the answer, but also embrace the new identity that comes with it. You are no longer the same person who began this journey. The waiting has stretched you, matured you, and forged a strength you didn't know you had. Now, as God's promise takes form in your life, you must rise into the fullness of who He has called you to be. Walk boldly, because the answer comes with authority. Stand firm, because the answer comes with responsibility. Rejoice, because the answer comes with freedom. And above all, testify, because your story will now become a beacon of hope to those who are still waiting, reminding them that the God who answered you is faithful to answer them as well. The beauty of God's answer is that it never arrives empty. It comes carrying the weight of His promises. You are standing in a moment where heaven has intersected with your earthly journey, and what seemed impossible is now becoming your reality. Think about how many times you almost gave up, how many nights you felt unseen and unheard, and yet, God was silently working. The answer you see unfolding now is proof that every prayer was heard, every tear was counted, and every sacrifice was remembered. This is not just relief from your struggles. This is restoration of what was broken and renewal of what felt lost. God is not simply giving you what you asked for, He is giving you more, because His love is not measured by our limited expectations, but by His endless abundance. And here's what you must understand. This answer is not fragile. It is unshakable. The world may question it. People around you may doubt it. But the foundation of what God has released cannot be moved. What He spoke over you has already been sealed in heaven, and now it is manifesting in your life. That means you don't need to explain yourself to those who cannot see it yet. You don't need to convince anyone of what God is doing in you. All you need to do is stand firm and allow the fruit to speak for itself. Because when God blesses, the evidence becomes undeniable. Your life itself will become the testimony. The same people who doubted you will one day witness the undeniable truth of God's hand upon your journey. But I must warn you, the arrival of God's answer also requires discernment. With every open door, there will be distractions trying to pull you away. With every blessing, there will be counterfeit opportunities designed to steal your focus. That's why you must remain anchored in prayer, rooted in His Word, and sensitive to His Spirit. The answer has come, but the enemy will still try to confuse you. Don't let him. Let peace be your compass. If peace surrounds it, if clarity flows through it, if faith is strengthened by it, then it is from God. Today, the answer is here, and with it comes a responsibility to protect it, to nurture it, and to walk in it faithfully. Because this is not just a gift, it is a destiny unfolding before your eyes. What you are stepping into now is not just a momentary relief, but the beginning of a divine shift that will echo throughout every area of your life. God's answers are never confined to one place. When He moves, everything connected to you begins to align. That means the restoration you are experiencing will touch your relationships, your health, your finances, and even your sense of purpose. This is why today is so significant. You are not merely receiving an answer. You are stepping into a new season designed by heaven. What once seemed like a season of loss will now become a season of abundance. What once felt like silence will now resound with the voice of God directing your steps. The answer is here, and with it comes a shift that nothing on earth can reverse. But understand this, when God answers, it often requires you to leave behind the old mindset that kept you bound. You cannot carry doubt into this new chapter. You cannot let fear travel with you into this blessing. The waiting season was meant to strip you of those weights so you could walk freely now. That means it's time to release the bitterness of unanswered prayers, the disappointment of closed doors, and the fear of being forgotten. None of those things belong in this new season. God has already proven His faithfulness by bringing you to this moment, and now your responsibility is to trust Him as you walk into the fulfillment of His promises. Let go of what was and embrace what is. The answer has come, and it demands a new level of trust and surrender from you. And here lies the greater truth. The answer you've been waiting for was never just about you, it was always about God revealing His glory through your life. Others will see what He has done for you, and their faith will be stirred. People will be encouraged because your testimony will remind them that God still hears, still answers, and still moves in miraculous ways. You are becoming living proof of His faithfulness. That's why the waiting was so important, because the testimony wouldn't carry the same weight without it. Now, as you hold the answer in your hands, remember that it is not only your breakthrough, it is also a beacon of hope for those who are still in their season of waiting. There comes a point in your journey where you realize that the answer you've been waiting for is not just a solution to a problem, but a declaration from God that you are seen, valued, and loved. This moment is one of those points. The answer that has arrived is more than an outcome, it is evidence of relationship. God is showing you that He was listening all along, even when His silence made you wonder otherwise. Every time you cried in secret, every time you whispered words no one else could hear, He was attentive. And now His response is not only practical, but deeply personal. He is saying to you, I have not forgotten you. I was with you in the shadows, and I am with you in the light. This is the God you serve, a God who doesn't just answer prayers, but uses the answer to remind you of His constant presence. As you step into this new reality, don't underestimate how much it will transform your spirit. Answers from God don't just change circumstances, they change hearts. Suddenly, faith that felt weak begins to rise strong. Hope that was fading becomes vibrant again. Peace that seemed far away settles in as if it never left. This is the power of God's intervention. It brings renewal not only to your situation, but to your very soul. You will notice a boldness inside you, a courage you didn't have before. Because when you witness God's hand so clearly, fear loses its grip. The answer doesn't just meet your need, it redefines your faith. You become someone who no longer prays with doubt, but with expectation, because you have tasted the goodness of the Lord firsthand. And this is the beginning of something even greater. God's answer is rarely the final chapter, it is the opening of a new story. The blessing you are walking into now will become a platform for even more of His glory. Opportunities will come that you could not have manufactured on your own. Connections will form that you never thought possible. Doors will open that were invisible until this moment. What God has started in your life today is not just for this season. It is the seed of something generational, the faith you carry now, the testimony you live now, will echo far beyond you. That is the power of His timing and the beauty of His answers. And as you walk forward, remember this: if God has brought you this far, He is not done yet. When God answers, it dismantles every lie the enemy tried to plant in your heart during the waiting season. Every whisper that told you you're forgotten or it will never happen is silenced in an instant when the reality of His promise breaks through. This is the power of divine fulfillment. It not only provides what you asked for, but it erases the doubt that tried to destroy your faith. You can look back now and see that the enemy's attacks were never about your weakness. They were about the greatness of what was coming. He fought so hard because he knew the answer would carry weight, and he was desperate to stop you from holding on. But here you are, still standing, still believing, and now receiving the very thing he tried to convince you would never come. That is proof that God's power is greater than any opposition you will ever face. And understand this: the arrival of the answer does not mean the journey is over. It means the next chapter has begun. God's answers are always invitations to step into a deeper walk with Him. He doesn't just release provision, He releases purpose. He doesn't just bring healing, He brings new assignments that flow from that healing. He doesn't just restore relationships, He calls you to steward them with wisdom and grace. This means your responsibility now is not just to celebrate, but to stay aligned. The same God who answered you is the same God who wants to guide your steps forward. Don't let joy distract you from obedience. Stay sensitive, stay prayerful, and stay ready, because the answer you've received is connected to even greater things He is preparing. And here lies the beautiful truth. You are no longer waiting for the evidence, you are living in it. This is what it feels like to walk in answered prayer. The burden has lifted, the heaviness has broken, and there is a clarity in your spirit that cannot be denied. You will see signs of this answer everywhere you turn, in the opportunities that appear, in the peace that fills your mind, in the restoration of things you thought were lost. This is God confirming over and over again, I heard you, I saw you, and I have responded. And as you embrace this reality, you must also recognize that it is only the beginning. What God is doing today is laying the foundation for even greater testimonies tomorrow. The answer is here, but His plans for you are far from finished. The arrival of God's answer marks a turning point, a divine interruption where your story changes direction. What once looked like endless waiting now transforms into a season of movement and momentum. The doors that felt locked are swinging wide open, and the paths that were hidden are being illuminated step by step. You are stepping into a new flow, one where God's grace not only provides what you need, but also accelerates you into places you never imagined you would reach. The years of struggle and silence are being redeemed in a moment of breakthrough, and it is as though time itself is bending to catch you up to the place God always intended for you to be. What was delayed is no longer delayed. What was withheld is no longer withheld. The answer has come, and with it, a fresh wind is carrying you forward. But let me tell you this, with every new season comes a call to responsibility. God's answer is not only for your comfort, it is for His glory. That means the blessing you are stepping into must be stewarded with wisdom. You can no longer live as if you are still in waiting. You must live as someone who has received. That requires a shift in your perspective, a boldness in your decisions, and a humility that acknowledges this blessing came not from your own strength but from the hand of God. You are stepping into answered prayer, but you are also stepping into accountability. God is trusting you with this answer, and in return, He asks that you use it to impact lives, to build His kingdom, and to reflect His character. The gift comes with purpose, and purpose demands obedience. And as you walk forward, remember this: the same God who brought the answer is the same God who will sustain it. You don't need to fear losing what He has given, because what He delivers is rooted in eternity. The world may shift, circumstances may change, but the foundation of His promise will not be shaken. The answer has come to stay, to flourish, and to multiply. Every step you take from this day on will be marked by the evidence of His faithfulness. And when doubt tries to creep back in, all you have to do is look at what He has placed in your hands and remind yourself, this is proof that God hears, that God answers, and that God fulfills. Your life will never look the same again, because the answer has changed everything. Every answered prayer carries within it a revelation about the nature of God. What He has released into your life today is not only a solution to your need, but also a reminder of who He is: faithful, constant, and unchanging. He is the God who sees when others overlook, the God who speaks when others remain silent, the God who provides when resources run dry. This answer is more than provision. It is a living testimony that He is exactly who He said He would be. For every doubt you wrestled with in the night, for every tear you shed in silence, this moment is God whispering to your spirit, I was there all along. You were never abandoned, never overlooked, never forgotten. And now, His faithfulness stands before you, undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable. But this answered prayer also carries a divine assignment. God's blessings are never meant to stop. With us, they are meant to flow through us. That means the answer you have received is not only a personal victory, it is an opportunity to impact others. Your testimony will become someone else's hope. Your breakthrough will become the spark that ignites faith in someone who is barely holding on. This is why your responsibility is to share, to speak, to declare what the Lord has done. You cannot keep silent when God has proven Himself so powerfully. Your story is not just for you, it is for those still waiting, still struggling, still wondering if God will come through. And as you testify, chains will break, faith will rise, and lives will be changed through the overflow of your obedience. And know this, the answer you hold today is not the end of your prayers. It is the beginning of deeper intimacy with God. Answers are not the final destination. They are stepping stones that lead you closer to His heart. He gives, not to distance Himself, but to draw you nearer. So let this moment be more than gratitude for what He has done. Let it become an invitation to know Him more deeply. Walk with Him in this blessing. Listen for His voice as He guides you into the next steps, and lean into His presence like never before. Because what He has begun in your life through this answer is only the opening chapter of a greater story, one filled with favor, growth, and the undeniable evidence of His hand upon you. When God brings an answer, He doesn't just resolve a situation, He rewrites your perspective on life. Suddenly, the weight of the waiting no longer feels like wasted time, but as preparation for what you are now experiencing. You begin to see that the moments of silence were moments of shaping. The unanswered prayers were actually redirections, and the delays were divine strategies to get you here. The answer that has arrived is proof that His timing is flawless. It may not have matched your calendar, but it perfectly aligns with His eternal plan. What once felt like confusion now becomes clarity, and what once felt like loss now turns into gain. The God who began a good work has proven once again that He is faithful to complete it. And this completion is only the beginning of something far greater. But remember this, the blessing of the answer requires you to walk differently. You can no longer live as if you are still waiting. You must live as someone who has received. That means embracing joy instead of despair, gratitude instead of doubt, and boldness instead of fear. This is the moment where your faith shifts from longing to living. You are now walking in the reality of what you once prayed for, and in that reality, your responsibility grows. God has entrusted you with this breakthrough, not for you to hold in silence, but for you to let it shine as evidence of His power. Others will look at you and see the transformation, and your life will testify louder than any words. The answer was never just about meeting a need, it was about revealing God's glory through you. And here's the truth you cannot miss. The same God who answered today will continue to answer tomorrow. This is not a one-time display of His faithfulness, it is a pattern of His nature. He is the God who keeps showing up again and again in ways that remind you He is near. So as you rejoice in the answer that has finally come, don't stop seeking Him. Don't stop praying. Don't stop believing. Don't stop leaning on His presence. Because what He has done today is a seed for even greater things to come. Your journey with Him is far from over. In fact, it is only just beginning. This answered prayer is the doorway to deeper faith, stronger hope, and unshakable confidence in the one who holds your future. The answer you've been waiting for has finally come, and with it, a shift is taking place not only in your circumstances, but within your very soul. What once felt like emptiness is now being filled with purpose, and what once felt like silence is now echoing with the voice of God confirming His love for you. This moment is not random. It is intentional. God chose today to remind you that His promises are yes and amen. He chose this moment to reveal that no prayer ever goes unheard and no tear ever falls unnoticed. You are standing in the manifestation of His faithfulness, and it is changing everything. Let this truth sink in. You are seen, you are heard, and you are cherished beyond measure by the one who holds the universe in His hands. And as you let this word sink into your heart, I want to pause for a moment and ask you if this message is speaking to you. If you feel God confirming something deep inside you, take a second to like this video. Your simple action does more than you realize. It helps this word reach others who, just like you, have been waiting for a divine answer. Every click of support is another opportunity for someone's faith to be restored, another chance for a life to be touched. So don't underestimate the impact of your engagement. By showing love here, you are helping spread God's message further than you could imagine. Now, let us go deeper. Because the answer you've received is not just the end of one chapter, it is the beginning of a new one. You have been entrusted with something powerful, and with it comes responsibility. God has not only given you relief, He has given you a testimony. That means this is the time to walk boldly, to step forward with courage, and to live in a way That reflects the goodness of the Lord. This is not the season to shrink back in fear, it is the season to rise with faith. The waiting season shaped you, but the answered season will propel you. You are stepping into abundance, into favor, into a flow of blessing that no one can stop. And this, beloved, is only the beginning of what God has in store for you. When God releases an answer, it is never isolated to one area of your life. His touch spreads like ripples in water, reaching places you didn't even think to pray about. That's why, even as you begin to see the manifestation of His response, in one situation, you'll soon notice other areas being transformed as well. What felt broken begins to mend. What felt dry begins to flow again. And what seemed closed off begins to open with new possibilities. This is the nature of God's blessing. It is abundant, overflowing, and far-reaching. He doesn't just meet the need you presented, He exceeds it, pouring out grace upon grace until your life becomes saturated with evidence of His love. And as this happens, your gratitude should rise higher, because every detail of this moment is a reminder that you are not forgotten. But remember this truth: with greater blessing comes greater calling. The answer you hold today is not only a gift, it is an assignment. God's answers carry responsibility, because they are meant to reveal His character to the world. That means how you live after receiving matters, just as much as how you prayed before it arrived. Will you walk humbly? Will you testify boldly? Will you use this answer to encourage those who are still waiting? These are the questions you must now embrace, because your story is no longer just about survival, it is about purpose. The Lord has trusted you with this breakthrough so that you can shine as a living example of His power. Don't hide it. Let your life be the evidence others need to believe that God still answers prayer. And as you step into this reality, prepare yourself for even greater things. The answer you've received today is not the end, it is a seed. Seeds grow, multiply, and bear fruit beyond what seems possible. This blessing will expand, this peace will deepen, and this testimony will continue to unfold in new ways as time goes on. Your part is to nurture it with faith, guard it with prayer, and steward it with wisdom. If you do, you will see that this moment is only the beginning of a lifetime of answered prayers. Today marks the unveiling of what you've been waiting for, but tomorrow will reveal even more. God's faithfulness is not seasonal, it is eternal, and He is only just beginning to show you what He has prepared. The evidence of God's answer in your life is not just a sign of His power, it is a sign of His closeness. He has drawn near to you, and this nearness changes everything. Suddenly, fear begins to lose its grip, because the very presence of God surrounds you like a shield. The nights that once felt cold and empty are now filled with the warmth of His assurance. The uncertainty that weighed on your mind is being replaced with direction, with clarity, with divine wisdom. You are walking into a new chapter where you no longer need to question if God is listening, because your life itself will testify that He hears and He responds. This is the confidence that answered prayer brings. It strengthens your faith so deeply that future battles no longer intimidate you, because you know the one who has already proven Himself faithful. And here is what you must not overlook: the arrival of the answer is not the conclusion of your journey with God. It is the beginning of a deeper intimacy with Him. This is the time to lean in even more, to seek His presence beyond the blessing, to desire the giver more than the gift. Because while the answer satisfies a need, His presence satisfies your soul. Don't allow the excitement of the breakthrough to distract you from the one who brought it. Instead, let it drive you closer. Let gratitude become your language. Let worship become your response. And let obedience become your lifestyle. God has revealed His hand in your situation, but now He wants to reveal His heart to you in ways you have never experienced before. And I need you to realize this: your testimony will not only inspire others, but it will break chains in their lives. People who are still waiting will see you and believe again. Those who felt forgotten will find hope because of your story. That's why you cannot remain silent about what God has done. Speak it boldly, share it openly, and declare it with confidence, because your answered prayer is a weapon against the enemy's lies. Every time you testify, you are reminding the world that God is still active, still faithful, and still working miracles today. Your voice will carry healing. Your story will carry hope. and your journey will carry proof that waiting is never wasted when God is involved. When God releases His answer, it does more than shift your circumstances, it redefines your destiny. The very things that once held you back now lose their power, and the chains that seemed unbreakable fall to the ground. You are stepping into a freedom you may not have even imagined, because His response is not just about what you asked for, it is about what He always planned for you. Sometimes we pray for survival, but God answers with abundance. Sometimes we ask for healing in one area, and He brings restoration in every area. That's the magnitude of His love. He doesn't stop at the edges of your request. He overflows until your life becomes a living testimony of His goodness. And right now, you are walking into that overflow. But with this overflow comes a calling to trust Him even more deeply. You cannot step into the new while holding onto the fears of the past. You cannot enjoy the blessing while doubting the one who gave it. This is the moment to release every shadow of insecurity and embrace the confidence that comes from knowing the Creator of heaven and earth is on your side. The answer you've received is not fragile, it is fortified by His promises. That means nothing can steal it, nothing can reverse it, nothing can diminish it. Your task is to hold on in faith, to nurture it with obedience, and to walk boldly in the authority God has placed over your life. Because this answer is not just for a moment, it is meant to carry you into the next level of your calling. And here is the deeper truth. God's answer is an invitation into partnership. He didn't just deliver and leave you, He delivered so that you could walk with Him in greater intimacy. He has opened doors, but He also wants to guide your steps through them. He has released provision, but He also wants to teach you how to steward it wisely. He has restored what was broken, but He also wants to empower you to guard it with discernment. This is a divine partnership where your obedience and His faithfulness collide to create something extraordinary. So walk forward with assurance, knowing that the answer is not only proof of His love, but also a call to deeper relationship, greater faith, and stronger trust. The answer you hold today is more than the fulfillment of a prayer. It is a prophecy fulfilled in your own life. Every promise God whispered over you, every word you clung to in the dark, is now taking shape before your very eyes. What once existed only in hope is now becoming reality. This is the moment where faith becomes sight, where patience meets reward, and where waiting turns into celebration. The presence of this answer in your life is undeniable evidence that God's word does not return void. He is faithful to perform what He speaks, and He has chosen this season to prove it in ways that will leave no doubt in your heart. You are living in the manifestation of His promises, and nothing can take that away. But I must remind you, this is also the moment where the enemy will try harder than ever to distract you. When the blessing arrives, he will attempt to cloud your vision with fear, with comparison, or with pride. He will whisper lies that question your worth, that try to diminish the joy of what God has done. Do not listen. Anchor yourself in truth. Let your heart remain humble, your spirit remain thankful, and your eyes remain fixed on the one who brought you here. The answer you received is not just about today, it is about tomorrow, and the next day, and the ripple effect it will create. For years to come, protect it with prayer, guard it with faith, nurture it with obedience, because what God has entrusted to you now is too precious to let slip away. And this is what makes your story so powerful. The waiting season is over, but the testimony will last forever. You will be able to look back and say, I waited, I trusted, and God came through. That declaration will not only strengthen you in future battles, but will ignite faith in everyone who hears it. Your life will be a living altar, a place where others can see the faithfulness of God on display. This is why you cannot stay silent. Your story is not only yours, it is a light meant to shine for others still stumbling in the dark. The answer you carry today is not just victory for you, it is hope for the world around you. And as you live it, speak it, and share it, God will continue to multiply its impact far beyond what you could ever imagine. This is the moment where everything converges: the waiting, the tears, the questions, the doubts. All of it now makes sense in the light of God's answer. You stand today not as someone who was forgotten, but as someone chosen, someone who has been carried, preserved, and lifted by the hand of the Almighty. The answer you have longed for has arrived, and with it comes undeniable proof that God is not finished with you. He is still writing your story, and this breakthrough is only one chapter of a greater narrative He is unfolding. Every scar from your past now glows with purpose, every delay is redeemed, and every loss is transformed into testimony. You are no longer waiting for God to move. He has moved, and His movement has changed your life forever. So what happens? Now you walk boldly into the future with a new kind of confidence, not rooted in your own strength, but in the faithfulness of the God who answers. You walk forward with peace, knowing that the one who spoke over your life will continue to fulfill His promises. You walk forward with courage, no longer timid or hesitant, because the waiting has proven His love, and the answer has sealed His truth. This is your season to rise, to shine, to declare boldly that God is alive and active in your life. And as you move into this new chapter, remember, the God who answered you today will continue to walk with you tomorrow. His faithfulness is not seasonal, it is eternal. And before we close, I want to invite you into something important. If this word has spoken to your heart, if you've felt God confirming His love and His promises through this message, I want you to take a moment to follow this channel, not just as a gesture of support, but as a declaration that you are ready to walk this journey with faith, hope, and expectation for even more of what God is about to do. Each message here is a continuation of the answers He is releasing into your life, and by staying connected, you ensure that your faith will keep being fed, your hope will stay alive, and your spirit will keep growing. You are not alone in this. Together, we are a community of believers standing in the truth that God still answers, still moves, and still transforms. The answer has arrived, but the journey continues. Stay with us, because the best is yet to come.